Amazing. Thank you, Sian. I would like to invite all of our panelists to come up for our Q&A. And now is the time, if you have any burning questions about anything social, multimedia, now is your time to ask them. We should have some roving mics moving around the room. The purest form of musical chairs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very athletic museum group.
Sorry. Yeah, okay.
We have a question down in front.
Is that one on? Yeah. My question is for Sian about the YouTube stuff. I guess the other thing that's interesting is obviously the National Rail Museum's YouTube really rewards a niche, so you've got trains which are very clearly a niche. How would you have approached the Science Museum broader group channel if you didn't have the problems you had to solve?
So I think it's a really weird thing, and there's a couple of things I'll say that I really didn't say in my talk. Firstly, we're approaching YouTube as museum YouTube. It's not YouTube. So you are limited by this factor, especially if you're a more encyclopedic museum, the one that's really focused. I came to the Science Museum group from the British Museum, which is obviously an encyclopedic museum, and has great success on YouTube. And so I kind of wanted to really take joy in that. I love an encyclopedic collection. I love that there's kind of all these weird stories kind of flying about. But I think if we had more resource, obviously, museum, if we had more resource and endless money and endless time, I think, yeah, separating out the collection into those kind of core units makes perfect sense. Doing medicine, space, tech, maybe maths, if you want to lean in. No, maths is great. But yeah, that I feel like that's so much work. And how do you know? Because we make the assumption that space is really cool and everyone loves it, but I have my doubts, No offense to whoever thinks that in my life. I'll leave it there, because I don't think I'm really answering the question.
Brilliant. I have a question for the GLAM-E team, actually. And this might be relevant to some of the other presentations as well, so if anyone wants to jump in, please do. But you mentioned that you mentioned that the reason why people might be having the success with, or the reason why you chose Wiki in the first place was because it felt scrappy. It felt like something that you could have a personal connection to. And I think there's a theme there through some of the other presentations as well in terms of determining the success of your interactions with a social media platform. And I was wondering, is kind of having a human touch with these platforms a marker of success? Kind of how much do you need to put into yourself, of yourself into these platforms in order to be successful?
Thank you. I think that's a really interesting question. I think the value of humanity right now is really high, the human touch and all of these kind of tech advances. I was recently at a conference for GLAM-Wiki in Lisbon, where we were really focusing in on the kind of peaks and troughs of human intervention, which is, I was thinking about this earlier when we were talking about, I think Josie asked a question about how to make sure data is as clean as possible. And it's hard because on the one hand, with Wiki, you carry you carry some of the flaws and biases of humans into it. But on the other hand, at the moment when so much is being produced through large language models and through AI and automated processes, you need that insight, you need that intervention to say, actually, this doesn't read right, or that's incorrect, or they haven't thought about this thing. I think in terms of the GLAM-E project, one of the things that I think made the connection with Wiki so strong is anyone can do it. Like, anyone can. Everyone can and anyone can, and that's both kind of a blessing and a curse for Wiki, but more of a blessing the more that we lean into it and embrace that community aspect. So by giving people this very low barrier of entry to a global platform, I think that's very empowering. And I might pass to Francesca to talk a bit about some of the things you've done with releasing images regularly and how that's kind of brought people to RAM through Wiki.
Is that working? Yeah. I would just say that what we did when we uploaded images in batches was we made sure that the images had a story to tell, so that people would include those images onto Wikipedia pages, which is how you get the views. One of our top viewed images is a painting of Richard III, so being able to put that on Richard III's Wikipedia page means that people are going to be looking at it. And we've also just kind of released images in batches, and then we've let people know about the specific batches that we've uploaded. So they might be linked to an exhibition happening, they might be linked to, I don't know, something that like a big holiday that's happening in the world, like a Halloween batch or something. And then it just kind of alerts people to that, and they can start adding them to Wiki.
Just on the human touch aspect of your question, I think that's an enormous part of social media today, and like indeed all museum creative output. I think obviously the theme of today has been seizing the tech, but I think as tech has become more and more powerful and capable, as we've seen in many of the talks this afternoon, the hallmark of great content, I think now, is not what was technically possible, but what people did with the tools available. And I think with a lot of the thinking about like the viral social media content at the moment, such as the Royal Armouries, who I think are possibly some of the leaders at the moment on with their TikTok, the funniest content is content which is clearly has a person in it, especially if it's like an elderly museum curator saying 6'7" or whatever. But it's content starring a person, made by a person, and it's dramatically outperforming any content made at the same scale with AI. So I think that human touch has actually never been more critical, the less human the means of creating the content has become. So yeah, it'd be very interesting to keep following that.
Any other questions? One over there.
Hiya. Oh, God, that's very loud. Oh, my God. That gave me a fright. A question for the Museum of Rural Life. You mentioned the death loop of trying to find a new platform and then not having the audiences there. Like, what platforms did you kind of look at? You mentioned Royal Armouries on TikTok, but has that, did you explore those types of aspects to it?
Yeah, I think in my mind, when I came back to Merle, the dream was always to be bigger on TikTok or Instagram. And I never really saw that Twitter had the future in it, at least not in the same way that it had. And I think, going back to big numbers, unfortunately big numbers are what we have for determining value a lot of the time. And when you see like the performance of the Absolute Unit tweet, I think was 100,000 likes. Some of the content that people are churning out on TikTok now is getting like tens of millions of likes. So the scale is incomparable. And with the really tiny amount of resource we have, I thought that the best bet might actually be to invest more in those other channels. But it just turned out that actually our audience was on Twitter. In a way, I think we remain extremely unusual because a lot of places have really struggled with Blue Sky. And I think we're possibly one of the only, or not the only, but of a small handful of museums that made it big on Blue Sky. I think a lot of people have really struggled. And I think possibly for us, it's just because we had such an unusually large Twitter audience that's why it was viable. But we do, for the last year, it's basically, so I left, came back, then the person who replaced me left. So I've been doing my old job and my old manager's job for about 13 months. Not 13 months, 9 or 10 months. But we now have someone in post, and their job is focusing on the TikTok, Instagram side. So yeah, we're still going to keep exploring that. But I think, it's like a blessing and a curse that we are so popular on one of the least popular social media platforms, and it's like we have no choice but to stand. I think we just have to keep going. So Yeah, but so I think that in terms of, for any recommendations, I would not recommend putting all your resource into something like Blue Sky. I think that the biggest opportunity is with social video at the moment. But just in our case, yeah, we're just blessed with a massive Twitter account. Yeah.
Amazing. I think, is that it in terms of time for questions? Maybe one more if there's any, otherwise we can wrap it. Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you coming out and speaking.